Hey guys, thanks for listening to The Cynical Nerd. Please keep in mind that we do not avoid spoilers for any of our topics, whether they are current or past media. Listen at your own risk.
Oh, damn it.
That we should be doing on the weekends, right? Like, you see something like that in a trailer that makes you feel like less of a man. Like, I feel like I need to go like lift weights or something.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like, we should
like
just
get dirty. Just be. I feel like I shower too often. Does that make sense? Like, I should have more sort of grime on me.
Yeah, but it's a natural grime. It doesn't smell that bad.
Yeah.
In fact, it probably attracts the women because it's
right. It's natural grime. It's not store bought grime. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, right. All natural. It's like overnight oats. Look at all this nerdy stuff. What are we doing? Let's come over. We'll throw some axes in the backyard.
Yeah, scream. Just like yell really loud. Let our hair mat to our foreheads.
Yeah, I think that's great.
I think that's the key to happiness.
It's the key to happiness. I mean, if you don't wake up, like, next to some random Hellion, whose war cry shakes the boots of mere mortal men. Like, what have you really done with your weekend is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Not much. Couldn't have been.
Right. What water cooler story do you have? Just kidding. Don't hang out near a water cooler. Hang out near Panthers and Tigers and shit, because I'm a fucking man. I might keep that because it's funny. But I was going to say, before we actually get into the juice, I might keep this too. Who cares? Behind the scenes. You were talking about wanting to do a spoiler announcement, like, before even the music plays.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of having you do your best, like, super serious voice, like, nice and deep, like Mr. Movie voice. That was just like, warning, this podcast spoils every I don't know, show and movie that it covers. This is your first and last warning. So
I was going to. I feel so on the spot right now. I was going to.
No, you don't have to do it right now.
To you? Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's fine. I was because I was going to ask you before we started talking, and then the first thing out of our mouths was actually kind of entertaining, and now I feel like I just can't. I can't roll.
The moment has passed. Yeah,
we've already
gone.
It's already been pushed over the edge. We're here. We're doing it.
But now that we're talking about it, everyone, this is the last official in episode warning you're going to get. We've decided off podcast that we're going to stop doing that. It should be common sense by now, but we are talking about what is literally some of the biggest stuff that has happened in entertainment tonight. No Way Home, the newest episode of Hawkeye had a big reveal. Witcher season 2 premiered. We're going to be talking about the first 2 episodes of it. And we're tired of, even though we don't want anything to be spoiled for anyone, we're tired of kind of saying it every time. So there's going to be a disclaimer from here moving forward at the beginning of the episode that says it. This is your final in-episode live recording warning.
Oh, man. History has been being made right now.
This is the last time. This is the one.
And let me just say, I mean, I know that we're in the shit right now, and I love it. I feel like a pig. Get it? Rolling around. I am so excited. I obviously love doing the podcast. Scott decided it wasn't for him, but you and I have really had an affection for it and have continued on. Mm-hmm. And, obviously that shows a dedication, because you might, listeners, lend me your ears. You might be thinking, it's just a podcast. You guys talk shit for like an hour and a half. It's not a big deal. Fathers with kids and significant others and jobs and lives. Mm-hmm. It actually is tricky sometimes to even put aside that small amount of time. So it's obviously a love and compassion around what we do. That being said, I am so stoked to talk about the stuff we have to talk about tonight. Too. I feel like a kid in a fucking candy store. We've been anticipating specifically No Way Home's release for such a long time. And, we went together, which was also awesome.
We did. Historically, we actually had a TCN get together. We did have sex. Yeah. We're not going to talk about who was top or bottom. That would be uncouth.
But we did.
But we did. You guys figure it out. Let us know in the comments. Anyway.
Yeah, we do have one email. I will say that at the go.
Okay, cool.
I'm actually just going to do it now. We'll talk about it now. Right. I think it's fun to go, hi, what's up, podcast listeners, we're getting to your shit right away. I'm going to just, it's Christine again.
Okay. Right.
But that's okay because Christine, we do hearing from you. Absolutely.
We love to hear from you.
You can send me pity emails. You can send me happy emails. You can any kind of emails you want. We will listen to them. I love reacting to folks. So she said, this is sent yesterday. Hey guys, almost on episode 50. I think you're recording 49 right now. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on Spider-Man. Entertaining as always, I'm sure. Just wanted to wish you happy holidays. Thank you very much. I wish you and yours a lovely holiday.
Same to you, Christine. We love you.
Yeah, love you. Love you.
Well, we don't love listening to you. We never hear you, but we love you. But if you were to talk, we would love to listen to that.
Speak for yourself. She sends me like personalized messages on Facebook all the time. Yeah. I know we've never met before, but I'm just saying, hey, hope the baby's okay. Look, we have some cool trailers to talk about, but I honestly just want to race through them because I want to talk about Spider-Man so bad. It's bursting from my seams. So welcome to episode 49 of The Cynical Nerd. I don't know what it's going to be called. I might call it spoilers just for the irony. We talked about it earlier. I don't care if every episode title is funny anymore. We're almost at 50. We're not going to be able to keep that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're at our half centennial soon. We're getting up there. So gotta start thinking about retirement. Can't just think about jokes.
Can't just think about jokes. We're at the centennial times 0.05.
Oh, dude, a fucking mustache hair got caught in the can and then ripped it out. I'm sorry. We can move on. That's really just
that's the worst. Do you ever have I assume this happens to other people because I'm not unique. None of us are. It's a depressing universe we live in. Yeah. But if you ever walk and you're just wearing jeans or even normal work pants and the pants somehow catch like a thigh hair.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And it feels like someone just stabbed you in the. You're like, ah!
Yeah. It's like a Brazilian wax, except just one of them. So people willingly go through like 1,000 of them coming out at one time, which is insane.
Does that mean there's like an Amazon rainforest keeping up the Brazilian theme? It's worth of of Russian roulette happening in my against my thighs at any given time. Is that what it is?
That could be.
I keep saying I want to hurry through, and I keep sidetracking myself. Derek, how are you doing on this lovely Monday evening in December?
I'm doing excellently. I also want to cut the bullshit and just get started. So let's do it.
Yes. Woo! I don't even know that I care about these fucking articles, but we're going to talk about them. Anyway, guess what, boys and girls? Do you love Mega Man? I don't. But if you do, there's going to be a Mega Man adaptation coming to Netflix. There's been a ton of stuff recently. Halo, Mass Effect, Mega Man. And I really hope, a lot of these video game shows and movies specifically have historically been just horrible, just god-awful. Things that should never have existed. Unless you do something weird like the original Mario Brothers movie, which I have some weird soft spot in my heart for, even though it's not a good film.
Same.
It's just because it's so fucking off the wall. Like, they can double jump because of some weird cyberpunk boots. Like, what the fuck is that? Anyway, also on the heels of me mentioning Mass Effect, Henry Cavill said he would like to be in it. And to that, I say, put Henry Cavill in everything. Because he's fantastic in Witcher Season 2, and we're gonna get there anyway. I'm sorry, I'm like all over the place.
Henry Cavill as Mega Man? Let's do it. Boom.
Yeah, how do you feel about Henry Cavill as Mega Man?
I feel great about it. Is this a live action? For whatever reason, when I saw adaptation, I just thought it was gonna be like an animated, like video game to animated. Is it live action? Either way, I don't give a shit. I have to be honest. I was always more of a Mega Man X fan. But we've seen in the past that these Netflix adaptations really don't go well at all. Most recently with Cowboy Bebop, which there is now a petition to re-sign it for a second season from the fans. Which fans? I don't know. I don't know if they're being paid, if they're at like gunpoint or something, but at this point, anything Netflix does that isn't, I mean, honestly, when you think about it, most of what Netflix does, that's not even just the adaptations, kind of sucks. Like it usually runs for a season or two and then they give up on it because nobody watches it. It's just a 1 out of 10 that's good. So there's no reason for me to ever believe that anything they're doing is going to be good until I'm actually watching it. So I feel total apathy for this. Just total, just neutral, zero. I don't care.
I don't know what it is. It legitimately does not say in here. It just says an adaptation of Mega Man. I mean, they do mention live action adaptations of Halo and Mass Effect to compare them to, but they don't specifically say this is going to be live action. I feel like it would be animated.
Right. I would like it better if it was, like if they were doing
100%. 110%.
There's already an animated one, and just like modernizing it would be cool.
I have two questions for you, and this is going to be a deep cut because you probably already don't remember saying what I'm about to reference. You said it like 2 seconds ago.
Okay.
Have you ever worked retail?
Yes, I have.
Okay, now have you ever had a douchey coworker and or boss say the really corny line? Like, let's say you joke around about not coming in or like being too high, and they go, "Oh, then you'll get promoted to customer." Ha 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 ha. Have you ever heard that stupid joke before?
I have not. Maybe
it was a Best Buy thing when I used to work there. I don't know. Who fucking knows? But I had like my supervisor was like, "Oh, you get promoted to customer really quickly." Anyway, that cunty line aside, I imagine the people signing the petition for a season 2 are the past employees that worked on season 1 who have now been promoted to fan because they're no longer they no longer get a paycheck because the thing that you made was bad and you should feel bad. And your family should. I'm kidding.
Right, like the amount of signatures on that like petition is the exact amount of cast and crew that were on season 1 of Cowboy Bebop.
Huh? 56. That's a really specific amount. All right, moving on from Mega Man. Another piece of news that's like more so informational for you guys. We don't really have a lot to say. Dr. Disrespect, infamous or famous streamer that was notoriously banned from Twitch, and no one still fucking knows why. Although apparently he's going to start suing Twitch soon, so probably for a stupid reason. And who now lives on YouTube, is launching a AAA game studio with Call of Duty and Halo veterans. So if you didn't know this is for you, Derek, not for the listeners. I don't care about them.
Whatever.
Right now.
Yeah.
This is just me and you. He used to work for, it was either Treyarch or it was one of the studios that does Call of Duty stuff. So he actually has development background. Like he's not just full of bullshit.
Okay.
But just all right, so we'll bring them back in. All right, guys. So Dr. Disrespect is launching a AAA game studio, and yeah, he's working with. I don't know these people, but their names are here as if they are important. So Robert Bowling and Quinn Del Hoyo on a new multiplayer shooter. Look, I don't. His shtick gets old after about 3 streams, unless you're 12. Or my brother-in-law. I love you, Bob, but I don't know how you still watch him all the time. He's not a bad player. He's not like exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty good, but the character I guess makes him fun to watch. But it gets just tiring for me. The shtick constantly. But I would think that someone who does nothing but play multiplayer shooters would have a really good bead on how something should feel and play. So, I'm not saying I'm like optimistic about this. This might just be, a piece of stupid news that nothing ever comes from. But hey, they launched a new AAA studio. It's called Midnight Society, and sure, let's see what happens.
I didn't know that he had like development experience, so that does change kind of what I was going to say a little bit. But I know like nothing about him. I find him annoying, and so like everything that I'm going to say about this and about him completely comes from a place of ignorance, because I've never watched him for longer than a couple minutes, because I don't think he's funny. I don't think he's entertaining. Like I'm not shitting on him. Obviously he's doing something right. He's huge. He's rich from what he does. I'm just saying, for me, it's not my thing. It seems though, like everything, like, cause we've brought him up on the show for here, this and that here and there. And it seems like he's like kind of a talker. Like he's real like, oh, soon this, elusive, the thing that I'm not going to really explain is about to happen. Oh, I have my case against blah, blah, blah. Don't worry, guys. The truth will be revealed. He's like the QAnon of fucking YouTube streamers. It's like, all right, just do something or shut up about it. So like, I don't know, him doing this like seems kind of like, oh, big things are coming, air quotes. It's like, all right, sure. Once they actually happen, like I'll happily eat my words. But I always look at stuff like this, and for whatever reason, what popped into my mind was like years ago, that game that's now getting its first update in like 10 years, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, who had the baseball player from the Phillies. He was a pitcher who like headed the studio. and it was this weird dream team, like who animated Spawn. I want to say Zach McFarlane, but that's not his name. Todd McFarlane.
Zach's his younger brother that works at Target. Yeah. And like no one,
and it's
my brother's
Zach
Todd
with an H, Zach. Yeah. It's always, all the cool ones always have a K. But in any event, like, I see what you're saying. Like, he plays enough games, and so he should be able to hone in what makes a game fun. But I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean you know how to make a game or that you know how to run a company. That's guy fair. Specifically that ran I forget the name of the development team, but he basically ran them bankrupt. He like stopped paying all of the employees. Like, it was a fucking nightmare scenario. So it's weird that game was even revived enough to get an update that's coming out like soon. But anyway, I'm rambling. Hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like I said, like, I look at this guy. It's a total like physical judgment. Like, I look at him, I'm like, I don't like your stupid face. And so I want to say negative things about him. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Kurt Schilling is the dickhead who founded it. Anyway.
Kurt Schilling.
Kurt Schilling. Oh, he was shilling for that game. Didn't work though, did it? Oh, you failed. Okay. This is going to be really quick because I have not watched this footage yet. This is basically an announcement. Oh, did they actually release it online? They did. I didn't fucking watch it. Did you watch the trailer for this?
I did. It's very like, you're not.
It's a minute long. Okay. So Michelle Yeoh is fucking everywhere this week. We have a trailer to discuss with her coming up here shortly. But at the end of Witcher Season 2, which we have not finished yet, there is a trailer for the other Witcher live-action spin-off series coming to Netflix. It's called Blood Origins. And I gotta tell you, the premise actually makes me very interested. And also, with the love, sweat, and tears that we'll talk about later, that they're putting into The Witcher, if they put that same kind of polish into this, I will be, what's the right word? Oh, that's right. Stiggity stoked. That's a very
compound word.
Technical. Yeah. Compound technical term. So she's going to play an elf, and I don't know much else about it, but what I do know and what makes me excited is there's something in the Witcher universe called the Conjunction of the Spheres. And that is when, I guess, way back in the day, which is probably a Wednesday, the world of elves, men, and monsters were all separate. So men didn't know that other things existed.
I'm sorry, but you just casually said way back in the day and it was probably a Wednesday and just kept going without even cracking a smile. That was comedic genius. I just have to give that to you. That was wonderful. Please continue.
Thank you.
Now that I've derailed your thought, please continue.
I forget the catalyst for what caused the conjunction of the spheres, but it's that kind of like, it's one of those unique sort of what's the word I'm looking for? One of the unique like origin points in the Witcher universe that makes the Witcher universe like special and stand aside from other fantasy worlds where these things didn't used to exist together. And do you remember the end of Witcher 3 when you're like running through realms? Like I kind of forgot about that, and it's sick. You run through like an ice world. Didn't one of the worlds look kind of modernistic?
I don't know if it did. I know that they reference like one of the worlds that Ciri goes to is basically cyberpunk. She talks about people having metal in their head and using metal weapons to kill each other from far away.
Cool concept. Yeah. I don't remember what causes the actual convergence or conjunction of the spheres, but that's the moment when elves, men, and monsters emerge into a singular realm. And if I remember correctly, they all come into the elves' realm. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like everyone forms a new, I think, I could be totally talking on my ass, but I think all these things kind of just dump into the elven realm. And that's why I think that's why the elven tale is such a tragedy, because they kind of get sidelined as second-class citizens in like their own fucking realm. Again, could be wrong. If I am wrong, it would be a really good story point. Guys, do you want me to help you write? Anyway, this looks really cool. And honestly, like I said, I'm kind of rambling here, but if they keep the same polish on this that they have on the main Witcher series, I'm 100% down to watch the spinoff series, which I didn't think I would say if you had asked me 2 weeks ago. So how do you feel about this?
Basically exactly the same. It's like, I said last week or the week before that I'm kind of tired of this formula where like each streaming service is finding its baby and then making all these spinoffs. But this actually looks pretty interesting. I love Michelle Yeoh, first of all. Secondly, I agree. The time period it takes place in is cool. The conjunction of spheres. there's a lot of room there to show how we ended up in the shitty world that is like the current Witcher world. I know that in the games they reference a lot that basically like the elves were initially like very giving and showed the humans they introduced magic to the human race, and then the humans used it on the elves and enslaved them and
surprise, we're assholes.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Some things never change.
Yeah. So to see sort of like that origin story, I think could be pretty cool. And like you said, if the sort of production quality that we're seeing in season 2 of The Witcher so far exists, in this show, which from the very, very brief teaser trailer we've seen, it looks pretty well done, then I'm on board for it.
Nice. All right, moving along, because I'm fucking antsy in my pantsies today. What a weird everything. Oh, cool. What a weird rando news article that we have here. And we're not going to spend much time on this. Blue Beetle, which we've talked about before, made fun of before, was going straight to HBO Max. They are changing it from HBO Max to a theatrical release. And the reason I brought this up is because it's kind of interesting. Like behind the scenes wise, it makes me think that like the people in charge of it might have shown something to HBO executives that made them think it had potential on the big screen. Like it's just oftentimes things will get pushed from the theaters to a streaming platform. It's not often that they go the other way.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Especially when they're announced on a streaming service. So like, this is going to be an HBO Max exclusive. And you're like, okay, let me temper expectations. So it's interesting for that fact, if nothing else. Nothing else has changed though. The main kid from Cobra Kai starring as Jamie Reyes, third iteration of the Blue Beetle. We've talked about it before. What is cool about that though is it'll make the second 2023 theatrical release for DC, alongside Shazam: Fury of the Gods, which is in June. So it's going to be June and then August for them that year. Anything that's kind of informational, but anything you want to add in?
No, it's just cool. In Watchmen, the Night Owl was always my favorite character, and apparently he was the inspiration for Blue Beetle, or the other way around, one of those. But in any event, so no, you kind of hit it all. The original Blue Beetle incarnation was the inspiration for Night Owl. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, which is funny because I always thought it was Batman, and then they were like, "No, dude, Rorschach is fucking Batman." And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Well, okay. Okay. Again, quick bit of news here: the Halo TV series we talked about last week, the trailer. We discussed kind of like I think we did. I might be making this up. Surprise. I thought we had discussed the implications of like the amount of lore that was behind the series. We might not have touched on this, but this is how they're going to get around it. Different timeline, which I got to say is both lazy and also the easiest answer, because you can't, look, feasibly, I get it. Like you can't start a series with literally like 6 games and some change behind it. Like, what do you, that's the most uninviting property to any new fan to watch the show. Like there's no way. There's really nothing else to talk about with this from my perspective, besides just to go, here's how they're handling it. They're just calling it a different timeline. So they're going to get to introduce things to everybody fresh, exactly like they want to. It also means they can tweak and change whatever they want to make it more TV friendly,
I think it's lazy as fuck. I think you have this super established universe, and you're basically going like, we don't know how to make it fit, so we're just not gonna. I think it's not that the first look we talked about last week made me go like, that looks better than I thought it did, but it didn't give me really any more faith in like the storyline of it. This gives me even less faith in that storyline. I just think it's a weak cop out move. Like, just take the time to get writers who can find a way to squeeze it in. You don't need to explain like every step of every single game that's happened. Like, people who are watching this, I feel like, have played Halo, and maybe not all of them, but they have a general sense of what's going on in those games. I don't think you need to know every single little tidbit of lore to like get in on an entry level. I think it was a weak decision, and it just like I said, I didn't have a whole lot of faith to begin with, but that's now been etched away at a little bit more now with this news.
Yeah, that's
shit's weak.
That's fair. didn't think about it from that perspective, but I can see both sides there. I don't really fault them for it. I mean, I guess, I don't know. Then again, you were like, they've probably played Halo if they're going to watch it. And then I was like, well, what do you mean? And then in my head, I was like, what? I just imagined my mom going, have you seen this show, Halo? I was going to try it out.
It's called Halo. I'm not sure what it's about.
She's not going to do that. I thought it was a Jesus show. And it was a guy with a gun. Well, that actually does make sense. Okay, trailers. We have 5 of them to talk about. I want to. We're only 24 minutes in, but I want to spend so much time on these main topics. So, Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. It's the 3rd movie in the trilogy. I liked the first one. The second one, I didn't care for. This one, Mads Mikkelsen replaces Johnny Depp because reasons. I don't know. Could be cool, right? I just don't know. These movies kind of they ride the fence of mediocrity, and sometimes they fall into good, and sometimes they flop over into shit. And the difference is so small of a variable.
You know what's crazy is how fucking well they do, like at the box office. Like it's nobody ever is really like, oh, I love the Fantastic Beasts movie. Like I've never heard someone say that. Even diehard Harry Potter fans, like, oh, they're so good. I've never heard someone say that. Yet they do. Like people are apparently going to see it on opening weekend for, all, I guess this is what the third one, third entry so far.
Something like that.
With the first 2, because they did like 5 and 800 million respectively. Like it's ridiculous. Like I don't understand like who's seeing these movies, because I don't think that they're particularly like terrible movies or anything, but exactly. They're very just like middle of the road. Like, there's some parts that are kind of cool. Some parts that are like, it's just like a total enigma to me. I'll watch this 4 years from now when it's like free on some streaming service. That's my level of interest in this.
Nice.
Even given that Mads Mikkelsen, who I would let come on my chest, is in it.
On your, that's it though? Just the chest?
Yeah, we'd start there. Work our way out.
You hungry, mama? I'll feed you after I'm done recording. I got stuff to do. You can wait, dog. You'll be all right. You eat all day long. April 15th, 2022 is when that movie comes out. Whatever. I'll watch it. I'm not going to go to the theaters and see it. So if it's not released on a streaming service, it can wait a bit. Okay. We've discussed this ridiculous film that's coming out with this ridiculous premise that for some reason I still kind of want to see. It's called Moonfall, and it comes out February 4th, 2022. Halle Berry, my boy Patrick Wilson, who was Night Owl in Watchmen, which we just talked about. John Bradley, Michael Pena, Charlie Plummer's in it. I mean, come on. It looks so stupid. And I feel like I just have to see it because of that. They released the first 5 minutes of the film, and it's just as ridiculous as I expect. I thought that it was just going to be some weird, like natural thing where the moon was falling, but now there's like some weird kind of, I don't know, alien goo or force or nanotechnology. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I'm still on board. I don't know. I like disaster movies, and this one's like, they're like, oh, you like disaster movies? How about we just turn this dial to 12 and do something really fucking dumb? You know what I mean? So
I was really distracted by Sadie. She was like doing planks or something in the background. It was it just sort of hilarious. Like sucked my attention. And here's my prediction for this movie. This is going to be the dumbest movie, and it's going to do unbelievably well in the box office. It's going to just like destroy. So. That's I don't know why. I just get that sense that it's going to be like this premise is going to get dumber and dumber. Like the aliens are mini moons from other dimension. Like it's just going to get as stupid as it can get. But for some reason, it's going to make like $750 million, and they're going to make another one. It's going to be called like Moonfall. I don't know. Two-fall. Yeah, we'll see. We'll get there.
Toonfall? No.
But yeah, I kind of want to see it too. I mean, it just looks
so stupid.
Looks ridiculous. Yeah, it's a car wreck scenario.
I mean, that's what you look for, you know.
Yeah.
Bringing it back to Michelle Yeoh. This next trailer is from A24. Releases on March 25th, 2022. Called Everything Everywhere All at Once. Very interesting premise. Has a lot to do with the multiverse. I got to tell you, the standout for me in this trailer is Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
She just looks ridiculous.
Insane. Yeah.
And I love her. There's this one scene where she's like just kind of like waddling through the like towards the camera, and I'm like, what is this? I love it. You look so crazy. Yeah, I don't really even understand the premise. I don't think I just watched
you're
it.
Really
like, literally
supposed to. It's very. It seems like a weird movie.
But I got to tell you, it looks gorgeous.
It looks great.
While I was watching it, I mentioned pretentious, and it wasn't anything to do with the way it was shot. It was the fact that like there's a white like a card that drops in like 38 seconds in that says a film from, and it just says Daniels. Fuck you. I don't care what else you've done.
Well, they did Swiss Army Man. It's just two people and their first name is Daniel, so they just refer to themselves as Daniels. Did you see Swiss Army Man?
I didn't actually.
You did not. Okay. All right. Goofy movie. Very goofy. It's similar to this, similar in tone. I already thought it looked pretty cool, but now it kind of looks even cooler, knowing that Daniels.
You said goofy movie, so.
What's that?
You said goofy movie, so here's the thing.
It's a goofy movie, yeah, like the Goofy movie from the 90s.
Yeah. Do you remember the scene where I'm quoting you from? Because if you did, I'd be really impressed.
I don't.
Most people do not. Okay, it's okay. Sorry. They're on the road. Okay. I'm going to stop what we're doing to talk about it. Yeah. They're on the road to the big Powerline concert,
of course,
as you do. And they stop at they're kind of just finally bonding, and they stop at a little hotel motel that's like aquarium themed, like sea themed, and they get in the beds, and the beds are water beds.
You just expanded on I know what an aquarium is. You're like, things from the sea.
Well, just for you and the listeners out there. And they walk in the room, and the beds are water beds, and they have like fish swimming in them. And Goofy goes, "Coral." Like he thinks that's cool, and that's how he proclaims it. And every time I say it, people think I'm referencing The Walking Dead,
right? Because
of all the coral memes. I'm not. It's a reference from a Goofy movie.
Further back, yeah.
It's a classic comedy, a coming of age tale. It's great for the whole family. I love Goofy movie. The sequel's not as good, but the first one's amazing.
I didn't even know there was a sequel. It must have been really, really not good.
Yeah, it's like direct to DVD. It's like when he goes to college or some shit. I don't know. He's like skateboarding in the opening, and you're like, I can tell it's going to be bad already. Anyway,
he's experimenting with drugs. It gets really real. Goofy has to have an intervention.
Yeah. I feel like I'm doing that a little too good. It's like I practiced before we podcasted. Promise I didn't. I don't think I even got your thoughts on this trailer yet.
It looks good. That's it.
Right?
It just looks like a weird premise, and Swiss Army Man had that same kind of off the wall bullshit premise that ultimately the whole time you're asking the question, like, is it just in their head? And they never answer. It's just a fun, stupid, good time. They have this thing where they make, it's hard to explain. Like, it's as if they're using a high budget to look like what looks like a low budget movie, if that makes sense.
I know what you mean.
Only way I can describe that, which is an interesting sort of, I don't know, filmmaking technique, but I think it looked really, really cool. I like Michelle Yeoh again. She got 2 spots on the show tonight. There you go, Michelle.
I think that's actually how you convince A24 to finance one of your movies. Is you're like, I need all this money, but we're gonna make it look really low budget.
Yeah, it's still gonna cost a lot, but it's gonna look cheap.
Yeah, sick. You're gonna fit right in here. Come on board. we have some papers for you to sign. Okay, very, very weird one up next. This is from Lionsgate, and it's called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And it stars Nicolas Cage as himself. In fact, I think all these people... No, it's not true. Because Pedro Pascal is playing a character who...
Yeah.
Right, he's like obsessed with Nick Cage. And honestly, it's like... Nick Cage is just a weird creature. And I think we can all at this point safely acknowledge that. I mean, what other actor can... A lot of times when they start sliding into these weird, like, let's call them like, I don't know, Z-list movies, they never there's no way they can return. No one ever wants them back. But he seems to be able to slide through the entire alphabet of movies quality, and just no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
And I think it's because he takes these crazy risks where he'll take these little projects, and sometimes they work out tremendously for him, and sometimes they just don't. They're just really bad. What's the movie? Is it Pig?
Yeah.
Or
Pig.
Hog.
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet, but
I haven't either. It's got incredible reviews, and it's about like a pig farmer who loses his prize pig, and it's the whole movie is him getting it back. It sounds like fucking Liam Neeson like chasing down his daughter, but with a pig or some shit. I don't know. And then like Mandy was really great.
Mandy was incredible.
But then he does other shit like that horrible one we watched for the podcast, the Freddy's
Johnny's
Wonderland.
yeah, who cares?
Where he literally didn't say a word.
Yeah. You know what I think it is with him though? I think he has this like Bruce Campbell thing where he's just like, yeah, I'm in shitty movies. Go fuck yourself. And it's like, it's hard not to respect that. It's like the people who are in shitty movies and then try to defend their shitty roles, that it's like, then you just come across like Jared Leto, like you're coming across like you're a cunt. When you're just like, yeah, the movie was bad. I was bad in it. They paid me a lot. I don't give a shit. It's like, I was really honest. I kind of have no choice but to respect that.
Yeah, if nothing else, I have no retort. So congratulations.
And so he persists on the lack of retorts.
So I like the synopsis for the trailer. It almost winks at you in like the first second. I don't know how well off or not well off Nick Cage is doing. So I won't speculate. But it starts off with Nicolas Cage stars as Nick Cage in the action comedy The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Creatively unfulfilled and facing financial ruin, the fictionalized version of Cage must accept a $1 million offer to attend the birthday of a dangerous superfan. Can we substitute the birthday of a dangerous superfan for the birthday of a studio exec who wanted him to be in this movie? Like, I just feel like, how close is this? I have no idea. I don't know what kind of money he's got in the bank. He's been in a lot of really famous movies. And then lately, maybe not so much, but I'm getting off the rails. The trailer is entertaining. It looks weird and just tongue-in-cheek enough. Ike Barinholtz is in it. He's just a weird-looking dude. For some reason, I like watching him in movies. The guy from Suicide Squad, the security guard, and the first one, who like hits on Harley. He's got a really unique face. You would know him as soon as you saw him.
Well, then I'll Google it.
Ike Barinholtz. Barin Holtz with a Z.
Oh, that guy's dumb face. I hate his stupid face.
I don't like his face, but I like watching him. He's weird. I don't know.
He has good comedic
timing.
Yeah.
He's a good character actor. He does weird roles like that.
I feel like he has this like whole vibe. I feel like he's one of. Have you ever been around someone that's talking that you feel like they need to wipe the corners of their mouths, like they're just sort of salivating at the edge a little bit, but you don't know how to tell them? I feel like he's that guy. That's why I keep the stash. It just gets reabsorbed.
That's true, reabsorbed, and then very stinky. You don't wash your face. Okay. Well, how did you feel about this trailer, though? Like, did it tickle your gooch?
I just thought I like ridiculous premises, and this is kind of like as ridiculous as it gets. It's pretty meta. It's something like he has to act out his previous roles to like get paid a sum of money or something like it.
That's weird.
He's going to be acting in his actual roles he's played as Nick Cage, right? Like that's what the movie is. Which is just strange. Just strange enough for me to go see it. I like Nick Cage. I like him even when he's bad. I mean, like in Mandy, he was terrible. Like that scene in the bathroom where he's like having a freak out and screaming. Hilarious. Like it's just pure comedy in the middle of this. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. It just looks ridiculous, and that alone strings me along.
Fair. That's fair.
And it seems like he's really like embracing himself the past couple years. Like he's just very like, yeah, this is who I am. Fuck it.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the show. Welcome to the fucking show.
Yeah.
So basically, the last line of this is funny too. With a career built for this very moment, the seminal award-winning actor must take on the role of a lifetime. Nick Cage.
Right.
It's like, okay, guys. All right. Next and last trailer. This one dropped today. This is from director Robert Eggers. It's called The Northman. Now, one thing you guys all need to know about Robert Eggers is he's the director of the, at least on this podcast, controversial film The Lighthouse. With that being said, this trailer looks fucking dope. This movie is out in theaters April 22nd. It's got a veritable who's who of fucking badass actors and actresses. Mm-hmm. Just actors at this point. Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, Ethan Hawke, Bjork, Willem Dafoe. I mean, Jesus Christ! Like not just the star-studded cast. The movie looks really cool, and I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, other than me just calling it badass for the next 10 minutes, I don't have a lot to say. It's really badass.
You really do have to watch it. It has, if you are an Eggers fan, which only 50% of this podcast is, it has some of his signature shots. So he's clearly going, he always loves to take a sort of time period and explore the mythology of that time period. This time we're going to do Vikings. That's, of course, should turn out cool. But what I like about this is what we're seeing so far is he's a very ambiguous storyteller with his first two movies. And I don't mind that, but I get why people do. I get why some people don't like those sort of open-ended endings and whatnot. This seems very direct. It seems like there's like 3 times throughout the trailer that the main character says his line where this guy comes in and kills his dad. And he says, I'm going to find my mom. What does he say? I'll avenge my father, save my mother, and kill Mjolnir. He says it like 3 times. This seems like a more focused storyline. There's no ghosts in the background, or are they really there, or is it in their head? It's just like, There's a guy, he killed my dad, he stole my mom, and I'm fucking pissed, and I'm going to kill him. It's just like easy peasy. They still have some of that really weird fucking imagery. There's that like close up of Willem Dafoe, clearly in some kind of shamanistic role. Same with Bjork going on. There was some sort of god or goddess looking type thing charging towards this light. So like the mysticism of his previous movies, I think, is still going to be present here. But it seems like he's just making a movie that's more rooted in just kind of traditional storytelling. So I am you have to watch it. There's really no way I could do a scene by scene and explain the cinematography, but that would be boring as fuck. So once you're done the episode, I just highly recommend you go watch the trailer. It looks excellent. Very, very good.
Yeah. I forgot to mention Anya Taylor-Joy is in the movie as well. She's the girl who is now famous for the Queen's Gambit show on Netflix and a couple other things. She's not just been in that, but that's most recently where I saw her. She's also fantastic in this show. It's a really good show. If you like chess, I recommend it very highly. You finished it, right? You watched it?
I did not. Nope. I started it.
Well, you should. It's a good show. Okay, we're here. We've made it. We're going to talk about the things. Do you have to pee or do you want to just go?
Let's just do it.
Okay, we're making great time today. 42 minutes because we're so impatient. Do you want to do Spider-Man last, or do you want to just get into it now?
Let's do Spider-Man last.
Okay, cool. We'll end on Spooderman 3s. Google, I did not summon you. Please stop asking how you can help me. Okay, so we'll do Hawkeye episode 5 first. And here's the thing. The episode's fine. There's some decent scenes. I mean, Clint suits up as Ronin to officially reveal himself to Echo, and because he's like, all right, this is about to reach a boiling point. Things are going too far. I'm just gonna stop it. So he puts the fucking suit on. He has what's actually, in my opinion, a nice little moment. He finds the Avengers plaque in New York where it commemorates them, and he sees her name, and he's basically like, I could really use you right now. Like, I miss you. You know, they were best friends. And he's like, forgive me for what I'm about to do. And he puts the Ronin suit back on, I guess, because she never wanted him to do that again. And he goes to confront Echo and whoops that ass, reminds everyone why he is an Avenger and they are not. He's clearly like a class above her the entire fight. And then just threatens her. And he's basically like, he takes the mask off and she's like, are you showing me your face so I know who killed me? And he's like, no, stay the fuck away from my family.
Yeah.
If you come near me, I will kill you. And I guess that's his like smash the glass, hit the red button way of like, I need to get out of this. Cause he keeps saying if this gets worse and worse, like the big guy's going to get involved. We don't want the big guy involved. He's trying to keep this shit low key. We've been, but let's be real. Like this episode is fine. It's okay. It's entertaining. I liked it, but we're really here to talk about the fact that that I was right and that Kingpin was revealed to be in this show and coming back to the MCU. And I can't wait. I really can't wait for this last episode because I'm sure he's going to be in it. It looks like the Christmas party takes place in I think it's the Palace Hotel which is the same hotel that he buys out in the Daredevil series that they fight in at the end. He like lives in when he's in house arrest, which is such a cool nod. But I'm just really excited. I mean, we thought it was him. We were like 99% sure. They finally gave us the fucking juice. Unfortunately, it was just a blurry cell phone picture, but it was official. And we heard Marvel, the MCU's Clint Barton, say Kingpin out loud with his fucking mouth, his lips. And I got goosebumps, and then I jerked it, and then I finished the episode and did it all over again. How'd you feel about the episode, and more importantly, the Kingpin reveal? Are you excited about this?
Yeah, I'd let Florence Pugh shit in my mouth.
100,
if that was your question.
God.
Yeah.
How did I actually had notes written down and I completely spaced because Spider-Man has taken over all parts of my brain. She's such a fucking joy.
She's great to look at.
She was the only good part of the Black Widow movie because she actually had some good comedic timing, and I thought she was great in the interrogation scene. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I thought that the scene of her and I'm bad because Kate. Okay, finally I got it. It's
I'm bad.
I always forget her name. I thought the scene of them in her apartment went on like way too long for like what they were communicating. I just feel like they were trying to go for like a Tarantino-esque like tension building, and it just wasn't working. But still, it was. I agree. It was good to see Florence Pugh. If she were to start like farting into sandwich bags and selling them on Etsy as like a side hustle thing, I would buy them and use them as rescue inhalers. So it was nice to kind of just see her, back on the screen. You're right. She, in all seriousness, in Black Widow, she was really the only enjoyable part of it. And her Russian accent is unbearable. But then again, so is everybody else's in this show.
It's supposed to be over the top,
yeah. But I was watching and I was thinking, like, man, if I was Russian, I would be offended by the way these people talk.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Oh, Vitoli, I need to go to the... It's just so over the top. But I thought that Cliff dressing back up as Ronan and when he confronts Echo, I thought that they were going to do the fucking MCU thing and have him be like, here's your chance, you can kill me. And the fact that he didn't do that and he was like, if you come near me again, I'm going to fucking kill you. Leave my family alone. I was like, okay, finally, like the theme of, of some of the stuff we're going to be talking about with No Way Home as well is that I like that the things that I've been complaining about with the MCU for so long, it seems like they're moving away from. Like, I feel like if this episode was made 2 years ago, that's what it would have been. This is your chance. Just end it now. I want to repent. Like, that's not real. Like, you're a dad. You have people who count on you. You have to be like, stay the fuck away from my family if you're going to hurt them. Like, I just thought that was awesome. I thought that was a great moment. And then, same thing. I mean, I was happy for you to see that Vince Bonofrio was back in the seat.
What?
I was trying to incorporate boner in there, but it just didn't work. You were right. You were right about a lot more things in the MCU too, which we're going to get into momentarily here. But no, overall, it was a good penultimate episode. It kind of set everything into place. We have some kind of showdown happening between Echo and her right-hand man, between Cliff and Kingpin, between there's a lot.
Yelena and Clint and Kate.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot that needs to be wrapped up here. I hope they do it right. Good episode. Solid episode.
Yeah. I get so excited for the Kingpin thing just because we loved his character so much in Daredevil. And then I remember that it means I get to watch Vincent D'Onofrio like actually say words as the Kingpin again. And I get like doubly excited because he's so good in that series.
Yeah.
He was just so good. And I'll be interested to see what they're doing. Like, are they doing a soft reboot of his character? Are they just going to act like all the show happened, but we just no one ever talked about it in the other movies, which is I kind of would be fine with because a lot of it's lower level. The only thing I would say that's not is like there's a couple episodes of Daredevil where there's like citywide explosions and shit happening, and you're like, okay, nobody else got the fucking. They were all out of town. Is that what you're saying? It was the Avengers retreat on the fucking moon. But I'm actually like, I know a lot of people can complain about that stuff, and it was a symptom in the early movies of the Marvel Universe where everybody would go, well, this is unbelievable because where's all the other guys? I'm totally okay with compartmentalizing that stuff off and just going, it's a Thor movie. They're not getting involved. That's the end of it. You know what I mean? Like, but some people raise those questions. So we'll see how they handle it. I'm very excited to see D'Onofrio. I think Yelena is just a great character. I think she's really funny and she's really sweet. She's got like a playfulness to her. But the reason I actually liked that interrogation scene so much is because she comes off like, hey, I'm fun and we're friends. And then you realize that the entire conversation was like Black Widow and Loki on the helicarrier where she's just playing Kate to get information out of her.
Yeah.
I don't know. The fight scene was really cool with them. I don't know. I'm looking forward to the finale. That's all I really got to say. I can't take credit for being right about all these things. These are just internet rumors that I read, and I put together the ones that sounded most plausible and decided that was what I was placing on my chips on, and I just happened to be. I was good betting, but it was like an educated guess, so it wasn't really a bet. You know what I mean?
That was real cool what you just did, because if it was me, I would just like accept. I'd be like, yeah, no, I don't really go on the internet. I just kind of thought of this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of trophy you're getting, but it can be made out to Chris. Anyway, so this is cool. So I watched more than 2 episodes of The Witcher.
I did open your present that you got me. Chris got me a Christmas present, a shirt that I unironically really love that says PlayStation established Japan 1994. The fun part about this is I didn't get Chris anything for Christmas.
It's okay.
So here's the part I was just going to say where Chris goes, no, it's okay, man. I'm not worried about that. But deep down, I feel like the lesser friend. So thank you and Merry Christmas. And, I'll keep you in mind.
we literally, we were talking about who we were going to buy gifts for. And I was just browsing Amazon for stuff to put on my wish list. And I was putting in I put in a second, I think I told you this. I put in for the all black, like PS4. We talked about it last week. Like a new shell for it, random stuff like that. And I saw just PlayStation paraphernalia. And I'm glad that you like it because I saw the shirt and I went, that's not that expensive. It'd be a fun little gift. Like he wouldn't expect it because why would you expect that randomly out of nowhere? I was like, it's kind of a cool shirt. Like I feel like he'd like it.
Yeah,
I think really I just asked you what your shirt size was one day and I was like, boop, ordered, easy peasy.
And I was like, I'm really gigantic and fat. And you were like, well, that's a size on here. So boom, done.
Yeah, it's a gigantic and fat in the cart. So I watched, moving on to The Witcher because we're just holy shit.
It's okay. Just
the train.
The train
can't be stopped. This locomotive. I watched more than 1 and 2. I watched 3 and part of 4, but we'll just say 3 of The Witcher season 2. And I'm gonna let you go first because I've been taking the reins a lot, and I know that you like it, but tell me why you like it.
I like it because it's
fucking good.
Because it's fucking good. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's again, we've said it before. Every streaming service is picking out their baby. Well, this is their baby, and it's their flagship show of their baby. So, season 1 suffered from some things here and there. I'll say this when I rewatched it in preparation for season 2. I don't think that it was as bad as I remembered it being on the first pass. And I think Scott had said something like that too, like that he rewatched it recently and he felt the same way. So I know that's not like totally.
When you expect the timeline shifts, then it's not.
It's more you're ready for it. Yeah,
right. Yeah. I agree. It was jarring for me too the first time I saw it because you don't know what the fuck's going on.
That being said, even with it not being as bad as I remember, it's so much more now. Everything about it is better. Everything. The production of it, the sets, the costumes, the special effects. You can tell that there were in season 1, really the only person who put a whole lot of studying into their role was Henry Cavill, which I've been saying Cavill this whole time. It's Cavill. Whoopsie. And you can tell that for season 2 that the rest of them really researched their characters. They just feel like they're all. Remember when Loki was in, I guess the first one he was in was Thor 1, and he was kind of a cartoonishly bad villain, but by the time he was in the second one, he had fallen into that role more. Or I guess the second time he showed up was the Avengers movie, but in any event, you could tell that in between those, he had kind of figured out that character more. It seems like that's happening with every character. Henry Cavill already had his figured out. Other people, maybe not so much, or maybe it was just enough to make like the story interesting and to go on. But it seems like everybody across the board studied their characters, and they're just sort of acting them more, acting like actors do.
Right.
First episode, I only watched the first two. So first episode featured Nivellen, who was a guy in the first book. It seems like they are changing some stuff around from the books and from the games. There's a character who is alive in Witcher 3 that died in episode 2, which takes place before Witcher 3. So it seems like they're kind of switching things around. He wasn't an important character, like a central character to the world. So it's like,
and he was always kind of a dick anyway.
And he was right. So they're clearly kind of doing their own thing. I think as long as they stay within the basic bounds of the storyline, it's okay to take some liberties here and there. Game of Thrones did that even in the beginning, and nobody really complained a whole lot because the core story was there. It's when the core story flew off the rails that, you know, everybody started losing respect for it. Action is great. Like what is there to say? I mean, it's just a good show so far. I cannot wait to watch more of it.
I was extremely impressed with Nivellen's CGI on his face.
Very
like obviously,
good.
obviously he's wearing prosthetics for the hands and for the bulk of the suit, but I think just like the facial animations are CGI and they look really good.
Yeah, and they're way up close too. Like it's
very close, very very good. Because I watched so many last night, they're kind of blurring together, so I don't remember what's beyond 2 and what's not. So I don't want to spoil too much. For Mr. Derek over here. What happens at the end of 2's all about Eskel, right?
They kill the Leshen. Well, they kill Eskel.
Yeah, okay. So I think 3 is where a lot of the fun stuff that I want to talk about is, but you know what? Fuck me, right? No big deal. There's some cool development with Ciri in 3, I think it is. And I don't really have a whole lot to say because I agree with you 100%. I think everything just feels better. It has the real chance to become like a classic fantasy series for TV. Like it's so well done and everybody's really acting into it and the story is interesting. It's got, like, again, with the conjunction of the spheres, I think the universe of The Witcher is just very interesting normally. But then the framework for the show and that the games roughly followed is just also very interesting, you know, with spoiler alert, but they've mentioned the Wild Hunt in the show. Yeah. And I thought that was like, oh shit, would they do that? That's like the end game of Witcher storylines. You know what I mean? Like that's a big deal for them. But I mean, they have Ciri who's got elder blood, which we know about, and she's the key to that whole thing. So it makes sense that they will eventually get there. It's a really well done show. The first episode is like fucking, it's almost perfect. Like it, because
the dialogue in episode 1 is like, there's no wasted dialogue. Like it's every fucking line is poetry. That's what was impressive to me. And like, just the, you know, I mean, the whole question of the Witcher series is like, what really defines a monster? But I mean, like, that was the theme of that episode. And it communicated that theme so fucking well by like showing you the guy who's like literally the beast, but he's like really kind and polite. And so you kind of like, you're rooting for him the whole time. At the end, it's like, oh, why were you cursed again? Oh, because I raped a priestess. And it's like, oh, you're a piece of shit too. So you were a monster. Like you did deserve that.
Right. Now your outsides match your insides.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, boom. Tagline right here. So I just, the first episode so perfectly encapsulated. I said this to you already in our chat. So perfectly encapsulated like a Witcher 3 side storyline from beginning to end. Like you go to visit an old friend, you find out he's cursed, you try to figure out why by clues in the house. You discover there's a fucking Bruxa in the house, like an actual witch. He has to kill that. That whole thing is badass. The creature effects on that are wonderful. Yeah. They're just creepy creatures by nature. They're like witches, but they like can't die basically unless you behead them, and even then they're kind of, you know, still looking around a bit. Yeah. But yeah, the twist at the end when you find out that like he fell in love with this other monster who he was trying to help, but she's like, it was just in her nature to go feed on these villagers, and she killed them. And then yeah, it finds out that like he's covering for her, but he's also a giant piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's like, it was just so well done. It reminded me specifically, and I know everyone calls back to this quest, but it's because it's so well written. The fucking werewolf quest in Witcher 3,
yeah,
the side storyline. It's my favorite Witcher 3 side storyline, side quest of all time, because everything is morally gray, and that's I feel like that's what The Witcher does so well with these stories of men and monsters, because it's like, oh, which ones are the monsters?
Yeah.
And I know it's cliche, but they do it so well that it's like, well, this is the reason it's a cliche, motherfucker, because it works so fucking well.
It's funny you mentioned that one, because I remember the first time I played Witcher 3 that was the quest that made me go like, oh, these quests are like really well done. And then Veronica, who's still playing through it now, and like literally 100%ing it. It's like alarming how much she's getting done in the game.
Let's go run.
The first one that she like brought up to me, she's like, oh, I did this cool quest. And, you know, she told me about it. It was the werewolf one. So that must just
because
be
it was so well written.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
it's
everybody
so
just
good.
loves that one.
Yeah. So good. So good. Okay. We're here, boys. We're talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. We finally saw it. Look, I'm pretty sure you loved it, but you haven't said it out loud to me. Did you like this movie? Did you love it? Where do you fall on the spectrum?
I thought it sucked.
I know you're kidding.
I am kidding. It was really good. It was really well done.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. I wrote down points, which I never do. Because
yeah, you do. What are you talking about?
Shh. Nobody knows. Double F scene. I don't know what you're talking about. There's so much in this movie. Little moments here and there. And you know what I really realized when I was thinking about this movie, because I've been doing nothing but thinking about this movie, is that so first and foremost, if you're curious, if you're some kind of sadistic son of a bitch who's not going to go see it but still wants to hear us spoil the whole thing for you, 100% right. We were 100% right. All three Spider-Men are there. Andrew Garfield, who never trusts an actor, okay? He's been saying he's not in it for... Look, I know he couldn't say he was in it, but he was fairly convincing saying he wasn't. Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, they both show up. Fucking Charlie Cox...
Yeah.
In the same week as Kingpin, which I called as poetic reintroductions. He was so good. I know it was just a quick scene, but it made me remember why I love that show so much. And it's a really cool moment that gets me excited for like a Daredevil Spider-Man team up, because it was those kind of like Daredevil and Spider-Man or Deadpool and Spider-Man in the comics that were just these really fun buddy stories that I hope they do something with.
Mm-hmm.
Both being New York based heroes and stuff like that. And in kind of similar powers, like not really. He doesn't have powers of a spider. He's not incredibly strong, but he's slightly enhanced, crazy sense. Anyway, I digress. He was in the movie. The plot. Most of the plot points we read about were true. Aunt May does die, but whereas I promise there's a point buried under all this gabbing. Whereas you might hear all that and immediately be pessimistic and think like, well, what's the difference between like, this just sounds like a bunch of nostalgia bait. Like, what's the difference between this and something else that you guys would rail against? And to me, when I think about it, it's because they made Andrew and Toby like actual supporting characters who had storylines, who fed into Tom Holland's Peter Parker and made him a better Spider-Man. I have so much to say about this movie, and specifically his arc, made him a better Spider-Man. But also, they got to redeem mistakes that they've made in their past, and it's because they feel like real characters who have real, what's the word I'm looking for? Real drive in this movie. That's why it doesn't feel cheap and like it's nostalgia bait, and why I think it works, and I think it works really fucking well. And I'm gonna let Derek say some stuff, because literally that's like the tip of my iceberg, and I want to go back and forth as opposed to 90-10. So
I still think it's nostalgia bait, but I just don't care. Like I went and like there were things watching it that I was wondering I always talk about like movie theater humor, where I feel like a lot of what we see in Marvel movies, the humor is really, for some reason, there's something about being in a movie theater and those like, oh, this is about to hurt, like that you laugh when you're in a movie theater, but when you're watching it at home, it's not funny. And so a lot of those like sort of tongue-in-cheek jokes I laughed at throughout the movie. And I was wondering, like, is it because, but I was wondering, like, is it because I'm in a theater, or is it because they're actually really, you know, well done in this movie? I was wondering, would I be as psyched when Andrew Garfield came through the portal if I was watching this at home? Would I be as psyched when Toby walked through? Which, if you'll remember, I was literally bouncing up and down in my chair like I was about to break.
I thought it was going to break. Yeah.
That thing. The people behind me were 100% like, what the fuck is this person doing? And then I realized the answer is, I don't give a shit. It was a great viewing experience. Like my nostalgia fueled it. But I think that the reason it worked and there wasn't like this like fight for screen sharing is that Garfield and Maguire were still supporting characters. Like they didn't show up and then steal the show. They were the star now. It was still all about Tom Holland. And I found that this was the most bearable I have ever found Tom Holland in any movie, let alone a Spider-Man movie.
I thought he did great.
I thought he was great. Like I thought he really sold it. Like his serious parts were very, you know, heartfelt and
right.
And sad. I mean, the scene when Aunt May died was like very, very heavy.
Very heavy.
The scenes that needed to be lightheaded were. I did get the sense from him in the beginning where he's like sort of under constant watch that he felt like this anxiety and that he had this weight. Like, I fucked up my life and that's okay, but I fucked up my friends' lives too. I felt like he did a really good job. And which is crazy for me to say about him because I can't fucking stand him in anything else that I've seen him in. But if I'm being fair, I liked him in this. I thought I think this is the best the best Spider-Man and Peter Parker that he's ever been. And that's really what throughout was my favorite thing about it. I feel like this is the first movie he's been in where he's actually had serious consequences for his actions and he's had to actually be a hero. He like the am I stealing your point? Did you have
No. You're getting super close though.
Okay.
Continue.
You're
riding the line.
I think that basically in the end, the resolution to solve the sort of reality paradox was for everybody to forget that he's Peter Parker. I feel like that was the most heroic thing he did. It was like him forgetting. It's kind of like what Toby does at the end of Spider-Man 1. He goes, all right, well, I have to be Spider-Man more than I have to be Peter Parker right now, especially Aunt May is gone. So my family is all gone. So like, if this is what saves the world, if it means people don't know who I am, then that's just what it takes. And I was like, this is like one of the biggest sacrifices that we've seen someone in the MCU go through with.
It really is, yeah.
And I love that. Like, I feel like we're actually seeing people make decisions that have serious now, if in Spider-Man 4 they get the Infinity Gauntlet and snap and everyone remembers them again, I will hate it. Yeah. But no, it was great. Again, I don't want to hog too much, but I just have to say that
you're doing great.
Willem Dafoe, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
We're gonna get back to it. We're gonna get back to that stuff. I have so many points to talk about.
All right. So we'll come back to Willem Dafoe, and I'll just say this. One of my only real gripes about it was that Alfred Molina was not in it as much as I thought he was going to be.
Oh, he was still great though.
He was so fucking good. And I actually watched Toby Man 2 the day of before we went and saw it. And his voice is so good. This movie came out almost 20 years 2004 Spider-Man 2 came out. So you're talking almost 20 years. And obviously you get older, your voice gets weaker, everything gets weaker. There's this scene in Spider-Man 2 where he robs the bank and he grabs Aunt May. He doesn't know who she is. She's just some old lady at that point. And the cops are pointing guns at him and he just goes, "Don't follow me." And he like barks it out. And it's so like, I'm a person in my home safe watching this movie. And I go, they better not follow it. Like, you know, like he has this presence with this voice. And then in the end, like I had actually sent you the still of him saying, I refuse to die a monster. He sells these fucking lines so well. And then, so you figure, 20 years almost has passed. He's lost some of his ability to sell a line, right? Absolutely not. Every line he had, he still has just this this fullness and presence and directness in what he's saying. He really sold every line he had. I just wish he had more lines.
Just because I'm gonna forget it again later. One of my favorite humor lines in the film was from Andrew Garfield when they're getting ready to go fight, and he goes to Toby and he goes, "Do you have your suit, or you just gonna dress as a really cool youth pastor?"
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
no, his existential crisis was good too. He's like, "Man, you guys have fought aliens." They're like, "No, listen." Toby's like, "You're amazing. I feel like we have to speak this to power. You are amazing." He's like, "Thank you guys. I needed this."
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Again, I'll talk about that later. I have a whole segment dedicated to, not a segment, but a whole little like paragraph. I didn't write it all out, but it's in my head about how I feel like I always thought The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 are not great films. They're I think unobjectively the worst of all the Spider-Man live action films if you rank them. However, I always really liked Garfield as Spider-Man, and I feel like this film is a vindication for that because he oozes charisma in this movie. He's infinitely likable, and he's like the most emotional Spider-Man, both because of the MJ catch scene, which we will also talk about later. And I actually, okay, I'm good. I'm not going to cry talking about it. Maybe I will later. Also, I want everybody to know, and I know that I'm buckshot here, rambling and all over the place. I had to hold back tears several times because I was like, I know I told Derek jokingly I would probably going to cry, but I don't want him to actually see me in a theater bawling my eyes out.
You could have. I decided I'm like for him, maybe it's best if I just don't look at him. Like if I heard you kind of start to breathe a few times, I'm like, all right, just don't look, because that would be rude, right? Like just let him cry and know that I didn't see him.
100% during Aunt May's death scene, which I think was handled so fucking well.
Yeah.
I feel it in me right now.
I can feel your breath on my neck.
I just heard. That's where it was last time too. Yeah, no, we were in the theater, and I actually, that's funny because I felt myself go like the big like the big exhale, and I caught myself doing it, and I was like, he probably heard that. I'm gonna not do, like, I literally thought that. Anyway, so I got to go back to the top of my list. I'm going too far. I think, and this might not be the most original thought, but I thought when we left the theater, I thought that was the best Spider-Man origin movie I've ever seen. And that sounds like a weird statement because it's the end of a trilogy. Mm-hmm. But at the end of this film, he's the Spider-Man that we've wanted him to become. And it's kind of, this is the part I was saying that kind of skirts what you were saying. I think the writing in this film makes him make the most Peter Parker-like choices. Well, I mean, like just from Go, where these villains come in and he wants to send them back, and he talks to Aunt May, and after talking to Aunt May, he stands up to Doctor Strange, and he's like, "No, we have a chance to save these guys." Like, he knows they're villains. Like, specifically have come across people who have fought Spider-Man, who have either died or been locked up, and he's like, "Well, maybe I can." Like, I know that I've already fought them, but maybe I can save them. And that to me is like the most Peter Parker fucking thing.
Yeah.
Is like, let me try and save these guys. They take everything from him in this movie. And I know that it's cliche that like all superheroes have loss, but it's like ingrained in Spider-Man's DNA that this kid, it's like managing his entire career. It's like managing fucking loss. And I know it's a line I stole from Hawkeye, but it's so true to Spider-Man specifically. They take everything from him. He's no longer, they make a joke on a quick, like, blink and you'll miss it Time magazine cover where they call him Iron Man Jr. once his identity's out there. And it's like them poking fun at themselves for how they've written him so far. He no longer has that at the end of the movie. He's sewing his own costume again, which is what everybody wanted to see. He, like, little things like when he is fighting Doctor Strange and he escapes from the mirror dimension, and he does it by realizing the shapes he's seeing are geometric shapes, and he uses that to catch Doctor Strange in a fucking trap and leave him in there. And then, of course, the decision that you talked about where he sacrifices everything at the end of the movie, sacrifices everyone knowing who he is. Like you said, he lost Aunt May, so direct family-wise, he kind of, for better or worse, got to avoid that one. But yeah. I mean, the girl, the only people he has left, the girl that he loves and his best friend since they were little kids, he has to have them forget he ever existed. there's the heartbreaking scene at the end where he goes in, he's like rehearsed a line and he wants to talk to them, and he realizes, this is gonna make me sad too, he realizes that they're both happy and they both got an MIT, and he doesn't push it. He
just leaves. Yeah.
And at the end of this movie, we see him moving into a shitty apartment in New York. He's by himself. He's got no money in his pocket. He's got the Spider-Man suit, and he's still going out at the end of the film to help people. And I'm feeling emotional. That's Spider-Man to me. That's why Spider-Man is the first superhero I loved as a kid, before I moved on to Batman when I got older. And I just thought this movie was like, you finally got Holland to where I wanted him to be in my head as Spider-Man, and I thought they did it so fucking well.
I felt
and
like it's just to piggyback off what you're saying, and this is going to sound so fucking corny, but it's like, he's Spider-Man now. He's not Spider-Boy. I always hated that he's just like this.
Oh, you did that, though.
I just want to go to prom with my... And they actually made him grow up. And they made him grow up by introducing hatred into his life. But I'm being sincere. They kill Aunt May, and then he literally says, I just want to kill Green Goblin. I just want revenge. And even though he goes through this plan like, okay, we'll save him, in the end, he does try to kill him. He does like pick up his glider to stab him with it. And Toby, who knows that basically Green Goblin dies, and in his dying moments kind of is filled with regret and just begs him not to tell his son, is the one to go like, no, trust me, you don't want to do this. He's still savable. Who of course then catches one in the kidney, which I feel like if you really wanted to make me cry, you would have killed Toby at the end of that movie. But for some reason, he just survives like a stab wound directly through his mid-abdomen, which is where there's a whole lot of organs there. It doesn't make any sense. I get that he's a superhero, but I mean, at some point, it's like, don't you have to sacrifice some characters to have like a dramatically, narratively interesting ending? But anyway, the point is, I think that we saw him grow up, and that's why I liked this Tom Holland Spider-Man more than he's been in any of these other movies.
Yeah, I think it's really well done. Sorry, I was trying to do a stupid side joke here. I'm totally ruining the momentum of our conversation.
Let's talk about Green Goblin and that laugh.
Is it worth it? Absolutely not. But it's going to allow me to do something. Hang on.
All right.
Hang on.
Just sort of. I'm not good at filling out sort of vacant sound, so let's all just
good at filling out those pants.
Take a wait. What are you doing?
Huh? What are you talking about? I gotta go turn the AC unit off. Hang on.
Chris, you're very still right now. I hope I'm not boring you. Chris, are you there?
No, totally fine. Yeah, right here. Sorry, listeners. I realized that I have a fan unit up here that because my PC is on the upper level of my house, even in the winter, it gets warm up here sometimes. The fan's almost always running. Well, it's been unusually warm the last like 3 days. So I had the actual AC unit on up here because I needed it one of the days. And it just kicked on, and it gets loud in my recordings, and I didn't want to hear it. Anyway, so I talked about that. The major point, the origin story was like oh my God, I thought this movie kind of played out as like the perfect intro to him. Can we talk about Andrew catching MJ for a fucking second?
Oh, yeah, because, absolutely.
Oh my God. When that trailer first released, we all called it. I think you might have been the first one that said it, where you were like, when we see the hand reaching for him, we're like, like Andrew's going to swoop in or something. And it's exactly what happens. The scene plays out the same way it does in the trailer. And right when he's about to grab her hand,
goosebumps just thinking about that scene.
He gets hit by Goblin's glider. And there's a split second where you're like, holy shit, there's no way he's going to lose May and MJ in the same movie. And you see Andrew notice what's happening, and he immediately goes to the rescue, and he jumps down and he catches her. Someone pointed out the way he called her. They were like, he didn't try to catch her with webs first. He like launched himself down as if he had like learned his lesson from when he tried to catch Gwen, and he lands with her. And Andrew, and I've said this before, really great actor, especially emotionally. If you haven't seen Hacksaw Ridge, go see that movie, please. He catches her, and he's like looking at her, and he's like visibly welling up with like like tears and emotion. And she I don't remember if it didn't really play like it was comedic, but she legitimately, like, she's like, "Are you okay?"
That was the best part about it, that he said to her, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "Yeah." And then she just goes like, "Are you okay?" And I did hear some people chuckle, and I don't think that part was meant as a joke. I think it was. It didn't come across that way to me anyway. But I thought that was the perfect way of like communicating, like that he was having a moment, like, holy shit, like I did it, like I fucking made up for it.
And it just it was really neat. And on the heels of that, another point that I had written down was just how much I loved the conversation between the Spider-Men and the scenes we got. You know, like I said, we were worried with all the, you know, trailers and leaks and stuff that they were just going to be third act fighting and then they were going to be gone, but they had a larger role than I anticipated, so much so that they get to actually like lab it up together and try to work out these cures for these villains. And the whole segment is just really cool because there's so many little bits of interesting dialogue that happen throughout that. It's where you discover, you might have been just sitting back down or something, but Andrew's talking about, Andrew sees Holland and MJ kissing, and he's like, young love or something, like, does it ever work out? And he's like, sometimes I feel like guys like us are supposed to be alone, to Toby. And he's like, do you have anybody? And he's like, it's complicated. And he's like, see? And he's like, no, it took us a while, but we found a way to make it work.
I did walk in on that part.
Like, as if him and Kirsten Dunst are together in his universe, and he's the, you know, an older Spider-Man, obviously. I got really strong, like, Peter B. Parker vibes from Toby in this.
Me too. That's why I loved
it.
He was like the wise one out of all of them, the sort of like calm, collected one. I got that
the really cool youth pastor.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, that the kind of conversations between them, because we had been spoiled by the Spider-Verse film before it, was all I wanted. All I wanted was for them to talk about it. And Andrew even goes so far as to, like, he's like, I lost somebody, Gwen. He's like, she's my MJ. Like, he literally says, like, because he had heard Toby and obviously Holland say MJ, and he's like, oh, like, that's different from me. Like, Gwen was my MJ. I know we talked about May's death, but holy fuck, like, you see the glider come in and you see it hit her, and you're like, oh, like, that was a really hard hit. Like, and you're like, oh no, she's just in half. Like, she's just dead. Like, there's an art cut out there somewhere where there's just blood splatters.
Just gets gored.
I mean, it looked like she got hit pretty fucking hard. Yeah. And we're going to talk about the fight scene right before that, because it's where Dafoe is the fucking powerhouse of evil that he is. And it's fucking masterful. But May's death, she gets hit, and Peter has to try to bat away the pumpkin bomb. And then he finds her, and she's like, oh, like, yeah, I think I'm okay. And something's not right. Like, she looks like she's a little out of it. Yeah. I mean, obviously, but something seems wrong. And she gives Peter the fucking speech. And once again, I feel tears welling up in the back of my throat. She gives the iconic speech. And what's funny is the speech, the words have always been, with great power comes great responsibility. But the originally written words, and this is a deep cut by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, the first time it ever appeared, is how she says it, which is, with great power, there must also be great responsibility. And so it was so funny to me, because this whole time with Holland, they did nothing with Uncle Ben.
Mm-hmm.
There was no, I lost him, and you realize that that's what's different about Holland. These are all different versions of Spider-Man. He had like a piece of Ben's luggage or something in Far From Home, but that was it. May didn't talk about it. She seems like she's been like the solo aunt for a long time, and she's raised him alone. And then to have her come in and do that fucking line with like the power that she did it, and to see, like you said, Tom Holland acted his best in this movie. Like, I mean, Jesus Christ. I think the only more powerful emotional scene in any Spider-Man film ever, and again, I'm giving kudos to Garfield, is when Gwen Stacy dies and he's like sobbing over her body.
Yeah.
Like, Holland was so good in this death scene, and it just like, holy shit, like, you kind of get worried about her because she's literally in the thick of all these villains with Holland in the apartment. And
yeah, it's kind of a part that bugs me about the movie, though. I'm like, what are you doing here, May? Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, why? Like, you don't need to be here. There are super powered individuals around. And
she's so eternally optimistic that she just like, wants to help him.
But like, you know, we had heard the rumors that she was going to go in this movie. And so like when we were getting to this culminative part where they're like getting everything ready to like, you know, give the cures and she's with them, I'm like, oh man, it's coming.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason for her to be there other than to die. So
we're waiting for the Green Goblin turn.
Yeah.
The whole time I'm just waiting for it. And holy shit, that man did not disappoint. I don't know about you. I think he's scarier in this as Green Goblin than he's ever been. Like even more so than Okay.
Without a doubt.
And you know what it is? Because he doesn't have the fucking Power Ranger mask on.
That's what I was gonna say, dude. When he showed up and he had the mask on, I thought the mask looks good. They kept the same look as Toby one. All right, cool. When he smashed it though, like in the alleyway, I was like, good. It had to go. That is an old design, and that one is literally 20 years old. That is 2001. That movie came out. So
and it made him less scary. It made him more cartoonish. And because the internet was so highly anticipating this film, there were behind the scenes looks at potential costume designs of him in like a ragged green suit with like the tatters of a hoodie and we were like, oh my god, that's like perfect. Like it's a mixture of the old costume and like you get the nods to classic Green Goblin. It's exactly what they fucking went with. When we saw him show up and he was in like his hobo outfit and he had like the purple hoodie on, I was like, oh, it's coming. And dude, I know that me and you were like jumping out of our seats the entire mano-a-mano fight of Holland and Goblin in the fucking apartment building because
he was beating him and he's just laughing the entire time.
Oh my
Holland is just like blasting him in the face and he's just like cackling. Oh my god, that was so good, dude.
I know it sounds so stupid, but it almost looked like an artisan film shot. It looked like it could have been, you could have put that in black and white and it could have been a shot from the Lighthouse.
No, it literally reminded me of the scene in Fight Club where he's like beating the shit out of Brad Pitt and he has like blood pouring out of his face and he's just like laughing in his face. It was so like,
oh my god,
so fucking raw, dude. It was awesome.
You forget, it's easy to forget that the Goblin Serum turns Dafoe into basically as strong as Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Like he's crazy powerful. So these guys, he's picking up Holland and suplexing him through floors. And the scene that you're talking about, Holland jumps up on his shoulders and is just railing.
Yeah.
And he's laughing. He's having he loves it. And the facial expressions of Willem Dafoe, they could have cut their own trailer from those. And I would have still been so amped about this fucking movie. Like he's got the most crazy smile on his face. And it happens like the scene when he jumps on the glider and spins around and throws the pumpkin bomb in the lobby. And he's got this smirk on his face. Like they were trying to paint a Grinch costume on him, but he got out of the chair too soon. It's insane how fucking crazy he looks.
Yeah.
He's so good.
He was so good
in this movie.
And look, I don't care if it's a throwback to a meme line or whatever. When he was in the fucking jail cell and he said, you know, I'm something of a scientist myself. I was like, okay, all right. That's
they had a couple of those.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I liked all of the Spider-Man movies so much that I didn't care.
Yeah.
Like Otto says, power of the sun in the palm of my hand twice in this movie. And I didn't care about it that much. I was like, oh, okay, that's you though. But the thing is, he delivers it so well that it's still like totally fine by me. Like knock your socks off. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I do. The only thing is, you know, we saw it late and I'm not used to being out that late. And holy shit, I was like nodding out on the way home. And so I had this weird thing in the third act where it was so incredible, but I also like couldn't wait for it to be done because I just like was so tired. So like, I really can't wait for this to come out and for me to watch it at home at like 4 p.m. To see how much more I can enjoy it. Because even with the like looking at my watch, wanting to get out of their aspect, I still loved it, which speaks volumes about it.
Couple moments that you and I like not figuratively, but literally were like hopping up and down at. One of them was the mano a mano Holland Goblin fight. The other was when they all swing together on the
Oh
fucking
my
Statue
God,
of Liberty.
yeah, dude, they're swinging like off of one another. It was so good.
I didn't think that was going to make me emotional, but just saying it again, like they are playing off of each other, and like I think one of them webs whoever's in front and like pulls. So they're all together and they're like throwing canisters, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, and they were like referring to each other as Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
I thought
that was
a funny
hilarious.
gag. Yeah.
There was actually a ton of humor between the three of them, and not like movie humor, but like genuine. These are all leading men. They're all people who in their time were at the top of their game when they were Spider-Man, and they're all quality actors. And again, I think this movie does a ton to rehabilitate Garfield's image from the movies he was in. I mean, those villains were campy. They were still kind of campy here.
Yeah.
I think they were done a little bit better here, but they were still kind of campy. But like the conversations between these guys, like just the minute to minute, they're like, well, we have the Avengers, and like, who's that? And he's like, is that like a band?
Yeah, Toby was like, that's great. Who are the Avengers?
They did do the pointing thing, like more than one time. They were like, who's Spider-Man 1? And I'm like, okay, I get it. Nice nod wink in the camera. The last thing I would say, I don't have any more points on here, but the last thing I would say is when I talk about like cool banter, I love like the little details where you get like Gwen is my MJ, or we made it work. They did that to the very slightest degree with the villains. There's a scene early on where they're going to capture Norman, or they talk about him, and Otto's like, that's impossible. And again, Alfred Molina doing an amazing job at acting. Mm-hmm. He's like, that's impossible. But you realize that you never hear Otto talk about Norman in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
And you realize that Norman's never met Otto in the movie. So when they were in the thing together and Norman's talking he's like, Otto. And I'm like, oh, I love this so much. Like when Doc Ock and Green Goblin are talking to each other, and then Jamie Foxx's Electro, who we haven't even mentioned, but I thought had some pretty funny lines in this movie.
Yeah, he really did.
Was way more enjoyable than I expected him to be.
Yeah. To the end with Garfield when he's like, I kind of thought you were going to be black. He's like, I'm sure there's a black Spider-Man out there. That was hilarious.
Yeah. Jamie Foxx actually did. I actually like the most underutilized villain was the Lizard, but that's because he's not interesting. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's oversized iguana got loose. Call pet control. Sorry. What I was going to say was Jamie Foxx like makes a joke at Dr. He's like, yeah, Dr. Connors wanted to turn everybody in the city into a lizard. What was that about? Like, he's like, it's like one villain giving shit to the other for his master plan.
Yeah.
And those little moments are what make that movie so special to me. Honestly, I know part of it's the viewing experience, but I genuinely, this is the first Marvel movie I have loved in a very long time. And I look forward to seeing it again as soon as humanly possible. Like I cannot wait to watch it again. I was gushing about it to Samantha.
Yeah.
Because I'm an emotional baby and she does like the Garfield movies too. The first thing I told her about was the Gwen. Yeah. When he saves MJ, like that scene is so fucking heartbreaking or heartwarming. Sure. Kind of both, right?
Yeah. Bittersweet.
That's the word. That's
I agree though. It wasn't just, and I haven't said this about an MCU movie in a long time, but I loved it. I thought it was really good. I think the last one that I walked out of, like, that I really went like, holy shit, was Infinity War. And because that one ended on, like I said, like huge sacrifices. That's the same note that this one ended on. And it's just nice to see that they're finally moving into, having their characters do things that are like, oh, that sucks. It's like, there's just not a nice little fucking bow on the end of every single movie. Because that's not to sound like a cynic, but this is the cynical nerd after all. That's not how life is. So like, if you have to get something you want, you kind of have to give something in return. So I loved it. I can't wait to watch it again.
I was going to say this entire episode is out of character for us. We loved every of our main topics.
I know.
This week. Yeah. You have to change the fucking name of the podcast. People are going to call us frauds.
The very good and satisfied nerd.
The fraudulent nerds. I'm probably just going to call this episode 49 spoilers because I'm lazy. We'll have to figure out a thumbnail. Probably Willem Dafoe related, because that man deserves a fucking plaque for his lifetime of acting achievement, but also specifically for this film.
I vote the shot of him on the glider, except with the close-up of his face from the Northman instead of his face in the movie. There's no joke there. It's just two things we talked about.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's wrap this bitch up. We've been talking for an hour and a half, and I'm pretty sure at least 40 minutes of that was our end topics.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. For the first time ever, maybe not ever, but it feels like the first time in a long time, I've gotten out literally every possible thought and what I thought was an intelligent viewpoint on something about a film that I wanted to. I didn't miss anything, I don't think.
I don't think you did either, but I wouldn't know because I'm not in your brain. I don't have sort of like a backup access into it, but
you're in my brain.
We should go to the movies more often.
We should. That's fun. It's not going to happen, but we should.
It's not, but I like getting the extra butter to use as lube. It was very helpful.
Oh, hey. Well, we should. How about we commit to saying we should go to the movies more often together?
But we'll really do it like once a year.
Right.
Yeah.
But we know. Listen, the next time you hear from us, it'll be past Christmas. So Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody if you don't celebrate Christmas. Next episode, we're going to be talking about, hopefully we can both finish Witcher Season 2. Mm-hmm. Again, it's Christmas. Might not happen, but Witcher Season 2 is so good, I might try and finish it like between tonight and tomorrow because it's so fucking good.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Witcher Season 2, hopefully, if we can finish it. Matrix comes out in 2 fucking days. Mm-hmm. That's next week. And the Hawkeye finale. So we'll get to talk about what happens with Kingpin. So our topics.
Oh, and Halo, because we skipped that one tonight. So.
Oh, right. We're going to talk about the campaign because we both finished it. NBD. That's all, folks, because that's what it sounded like I was going with that. NBD. Look, it's been episode 49. Derek, where can everybody find you at?
They can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Dr. Gloom MD. That's DRGLOOMMD.
It's M like Mancy.
Yeah, M is in mnemonic.
Yeah. Oh, got him. Figure that one out. Starts with a P.
G as in gnosis.
You can find me on Twitch and Twitter, although I haven't streamed. It's been a while.
Yeah, me too.
We do this every week. I don't know why. I don't know if I've lost the drive to do it, or if it's just because I'm waiting for, like, I didn't want to stream Halo.
Yeah.
And I've also been fighting off, I'm fine now, but I was for a couple of weeks fighting off sickness, which I just kept really relying on as my reason to not stream.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I'm sick, I don't know what I'm going to blame.
Yeah. You got to find some new shit.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next week to talk about The Matrix. And I've heard some mixed things already. So I hope they skew more towards good than bad, because I really want that to be good too.
Yeah.
But I love you.
And boner joke. And then we erupt into laughter.
Oh, and that's the end of the podcast. Good night.